Good day, YouTubers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all around the world. We are moving forward. I think the next step in the plans was to build a hammock, and it said use the template to cut out the shape and then tie your ropes on the end of it. But I haven't found a template anywhere. It's not on the sheet. Oh, I'm just talking to myself. And I looked at this flag because it was in the plans, but I didn't notice this in the back. So there's the template, dummy. So I have no excuse now. But the next step after the hammocks was to build another one of these capstans. I think that's the right terminology for hoisting up sails and anchors and all that. And it wanted us to build another one and put it on this second deck, I think. So I got all the parts I think I need, and let's go ahead and try to glue it up. I went ahead and got some 1mm brass rod and drilled a 1mm hole 45 or 90 degrees away from each other. So I want this to face 45 degrees, I guess. And my last 1mm drill bit I broke, but I was able to get a good hole through there where this one is a slip fit, and then the one that's going to butt into it is a tight fit. And we'll glue that in last after we get these legs on here. These are sort of to help grip the rope or the chain or whatever. And there's barely enough room for all of them. So I'm trying to do these at the 90 degree, 180, then we'll go 45 and then fill in. Without knocking that post off of there. You guys hear my chickens out there. Our 3 little baby chicks are not baby chicks anymore. Guess you could call them teenagers now. They're poofed out pretty good. Maybe later on I'll take you out there. But what else is new? So I'm going with the 90-degree effect. Getting them as close as I can. Then we'll fill in the last 4. You see that fingernail holding down the base piece there. That's why you don't want to cut your fingernails off until they're too long. They make a good tool. See, on this hand, I've got a head thumper. And this is the box cutter. This is the screwdriver. This is a booger picker. And I haven't figured out a good name for my ring finger. If you cut them all off, you ain't got no tools. Okay, that's the 4. So now we just fill in the gap in between them. The 4 look pretty even and square, I guess. Of course, I had to clean these up after I cut them out of the sheet, because they had a healthy burr on the back of them. The brass rods, I filed the end of them so they're flat on the end, where the cutters, when you cut that brass, it'll make a little pointed end sharp. Get it in the right spot and then sort of push it in. So now it's too close to the left side. I got to move it over to the right a little bit. Very carefully. So I'm still wearing a Foley bag, or a Foley catheter bag, whatever you want to call it. Today is Wednesday. I go next Monday to get it taken out. So let's just pray that everything functions normally. We'll get that baby out of there. I'm still seeing some blood in my urine too, though. That's discouraging. But they said it, you're gonna see it. Just drink lots of water. Like that's gonna, oh crap. Like that's gonna fix the problem. Lots of water. Eliquis is a blood thinner. I think I'm on that, and it probably doesn't help, but I gotta have it from my heart. Okay. There's the last one of that. Now we'll use the other pliers, because we got to put these last 2 handle pins in. That's a little wooden plug that I stick in the end of that tube. And this jewelry glue, which it's been several weeks now since I've used this. So, oops. I bet you that tube is plugged up. So I really need 2 pair of pliers because I want to grab this top of the post. Yeah, I gotta grab this so I can hold it good and solid. Oh my goodness, it went flying across the room. That was a lucky save. Come on, baby. I think that one's in there. Yeah, this little dude is really small, isn't it? Yes. That went right in like it's supposed to. Okay. Let that dry and we can glue it into the deck. Now that I've found the template for those hammocks, if I wasn't talking to you guys about it, I wouldn't have found it. So you helped me. You helped me find what I needed to do that. If there's 4 templates, what does that mean? 4 hammocks. I got to read the directions again because, yeah, I guess because once you use one of them to cut out the material, the cloth, you might not be able to reuse it, being paper. Okay. I want to go look at the chickens. Let's do that before we get set up for those hammocks. So the 3 little chicks got this side for their own use. Look at that. They come running out. Good. They're getting used to going in and out, and they heard my voice. Where's the other 2? Oh, they're staying. We got a bunch of rain yesterday and the day before. This summertime in Florida. Oops, camera fell down. This is Gert. Gert. No eggs this morning yet. No. So you can see from little baby chicks, they have expanded quite a bit. Henny Penny. Where's the other two? The three. I'll give them some treats later on. One thing I planted the other day from seed is all these lagoons, and we'll cut them after they get a little bigger and give them to the chickens. Alright, so here's the cloth for that hammock job. I gotta sit down and cut them out and figure out how they want me to do the ropes on them. Okay, so as you can see, there was a ragged edge on the material after the cut. And they don't show doing anything like this, but I said, what can I do to clean that edge up, you know, for the hammock to not look so raggedy. Threads hanging out everywhere. So I picked some of this tan rope that's pretty good size diameter compared to the thickness of the material, and use that. I tried using regular super glue at first. I think on this one here, and it's too liquidy to stick good while you're holding the thread in where you want it. But the jewelry glue hasn't dried yet everywhere, but it's gummy enough where that thread sticks to the edge of the material and helps cover up that raggedy edge from the cut. Plus, I'll be able to shape them in a little cup shape like they're hanging when we go to tie them in there somewhere. So that's a encouraging fix that we came up with to cover up the raggedy edge. Okay, the next thing in the plans was to make up these grids or floor grates. I got this one ready to glue in, and after this I got to build 2 ladders to go down through there from that grate. These laser cut pieces are really tight to get together. There is no clearance whatsoever. So I'm smooshing with pliers and beating with a hammer. Pieces chipped off here and there. So got to take this one over to the sanding belt and sand these edges sticking out off of there like that one is, and then it'll be ready to go in down here on the second level. So be aware that this is not easy to get together, even though it looks easy. Literally beating on this thing with a hammer to the point where I'm worried about smashing it or breaking it. And they are a tight fit. Especially when you get 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 in a row and you're trying to get it into line up with all those slots. See, even that isn't together all the way, and it's musty with the pliers in it still. So be aware you're going to have a war. It took me an hour to get these things together. Okay, we got the 2 grid grill plates, ventilation plate, what you call it. We got them sanded up and glued on, and then we made 2 ladders per the instructions. And they said to cut, 8 steps and make the angle on the end 30 degrees and then go 90 degrees off the center line of the board, so you get the step being flat. You can see that top one there isn't quite flat, so that 30-degree angle does not work. I had to cut off a whole 8 or 10 millimeters, and then I reconfigured the shape of the end up here so it would set in like a real stairway with a 90-degree butt on the end to lean against that deck plate. The bottom one's a little different, but I got a board jammed up in there to hold it, and then a clamp sitting on it for the bottom to dry. So those were a little tedious to make and to install, but we got them done. Ladder from top to middle and middle to bottom. And then I put the other capstan in and glued that down in the same position as this one is. A little bit different, but it's hard to be exact when you're whole deck away from each other. And these pieces here were a real pain in the butt because the capstan, I left the capstan unglued at first and used a pencil to make a mark through that mast hole in the back of the capstan base. And then while the capstan wasn't in the way, using that mark and the center line, I glued on these little pusher boards for your feet all the way around until you get to the side here. And then I went ahead and glued in the capstan and then finished gluing in these pusher feet things in the front side, trying to get them all even. So one of the tricks I used, I had a tail end of a wire tie up here somewhere. I don't know what happened to it, but just like a thin piece of wood. I used the plastic part of the wire ties, so yeah, here it is. So I would take the little board with the tweezers and put some glue on the back of it. Then I would take a dab of glue and put on the end of this, real small dab. And then I would pick the top side of the board with the glue to hold it just while I floated in there with it and set it down in the correct position. And then reach in with a pair of tweezers and hold it down while I pulled this back away and got it out of there. So that was one trick, to be able to reaching in and gluing and holding the piece without, because you can't hold it with tweezers at that angle back in there. So I was able to put it on this piece at the angle I wanted, and then when I went in there with it, I could set it down and glue on the bottom. Pretty much held it, but I did have to grab it again on top, hold it down with the tip of the tweezers. So cutting one step off was the right angle for the stairway. I'm pretty sure they wanted this top one to go a little further over, but with that 30-degree cut on the end, the steps were crooked, and this was really close to the opening, so you would have a hard time walking down through there. It might still be too close to the way it is now, but it's glued. I'm not gonna cut it out. Next week we got some barrels to paint. And buckets. What do we? Oh, it looks like we're gluing on a handle on the bucket or a rope. Well, I don't know what they're doing there. I'm about to read it. And the buckets are for cannonballs. There's a bunch of those, so we got to make them up. And then these are some boxes we're going to make. Crates, shipping containers. Those are going to be tedious too, but painting these and putting the balls in would be pretty easy, I guess. Tying a rope on. And some stacks of lumber. What's that? That'll be rice or corn or something, I don't know. Yeah, that'll be fun. That other material was a pain in the butt to work with. Now we got to do it again. Like little bags or something. Thanks for watching.